Welcome to the Potter Blog site, August 28th, 2013. If you need a surgical face mask, buy it now. They are about to go out of stock. The CDC via NIOSH is releasing rule changes that will require a face seal on all NIOSH approved masks. We estimate that this will increase the cost of a mask by about 500%, from $1 per mask to $5 per mask, and that it will have a minimum of 50% reduction in the availability of masks pre-pandemic. Now, here's a direct quote from the solicitation, and we'll have more detail in a second, but let me read this quote to you. This is from the CDC. NIOSH further recognizes the urgency and the need for this economic analysis at this time due to the threat of avian influenza A, H7N9. Lessons learned during the 2009 H1N1 flu outbreak, considered a non-serious flu, include issues with the supply and demand of well-fitting N95 filtering facial respirators, FFRs, for healthcare workers and others. The intent of the proposed rule is to add a population fit test requirement to the NIOSH performance requirements in subpart K of 42 CFR Part 84. And I'm going to show you the top of this document here, just so you know where it comes from. Department of Health and Human Services Centers for Disease Control. Now let us look at the solicitation itself. Pop this down. This is the actual solicitation, and it asks two questions of the analysis that they're going to perform here, this urgent analysis. What would the impact be to a given supplier if 10% of their current product failed the new performance test, 40% failed, 75% failed? Second question. What would be the impact on consumer populations if 10%, 50%, 90% of all face masks sold in North America and globally were no longer available? No longer available. And that's without even the pandemic, because of this rule change. Now, let's just go to our blog site here for a second so we can discuss this. The situation is, as we've previously discussed in other videos, is that H7N9 virus is defeating hospital caregiver masks. Now, if you want to understand the rationale behind that and what's going on, we've got a link here on our blog site that'll go and explain it in more detail. But that's why they're doing this crazy thing right now, in the midst of this impending pandemic that they are expecting and preparing for as if it was the zombie apocalypse, that they're going to put in this rule change that will require every manufacturer to put a face seal on their masks. Now, unfortunately, this type of centralized corporatist planning will only serve to make the situation worse. The following results should be expected: an increase in the transmission of H7N9, shortages and rationing of masks in hospitals, complete public unavailability of masks. Now, our own personal risk mitigation position on H7N9 is that it has a low to medium likelihood of occurring in the USA this year. Again, we personally think it's probably not going to happen. But, and this is a big but, if it does happen, it has an insanely high large-scale death potential in adults. Now, so what to do? We believe the primary high-risk scenario that the average person might incur is the home quarantine of a sick child, as directed by the newly created 211 phone triage system. If you haven't heard about that, government's setting that up too right now. Click on this link for more detail. The scenario is based on the following. Nearly 100% of adults presenting with an H7N9 infection will die quickly without advanced life support. And there's not very many advanced life support machines available. 2, children may survive an infection without hospitalization, but will likely infect adults. So most people, at least in the United States, come hell or high water, aren't going to wear a mask in public unless they're in the healthcare field. The real primary risk, we believe, is if you have a sick child, that sick child is going to infect you and you will die, leaving that child an orphan. Now, under that scenario, we believe the best last line of defense, and this is the last line of defense, is a well-fitting P100 mask. The key is well-fitting. If the mask isn't well-fitting, it doesn't matter what its rating is. The best well-fitting mask with the highest rating possible is the best bet. Now, here, we put an Amazon link in here for a link to a P100 mask so that you can do your own research. But before you think we're making money off of this, as Missouri residents, we make zero money from Amazon links. Amazon will not pay us for any links as a Missouri resident. So we make no money from this. But if this information ends up helping you not leave your children orphans, please feel free to donate to us in hindsight using the PayPal button there. Yeah. But like we say, we think the odds of something are happening are low, but we can't ignore the crazy amount of planning the government's doing for this thing. And even without it happening, hospital masks are about to become very expensive.